Bitcoin hit $126,000 in October 2025, but now it is sitting around $60,000. Half your money, gone, in 4 months. And the most searched question in crypto right now is not when does it recover? It is, did someone do this on purpose? Because here is what is strange. The crash did not feel random. It felt surgical. One specific day, October 10th, $19 billion wiped out in 24 hours. The single largest liquidation event in the entire history of crypto. One day, 19 billion. And when people started asking who benefited, the fingers all pointed in the same direction. The banks. Now, I know what you're thinking. Classic internet conspiracy, tinfoil hat stuff. But stay with me, because I'm not here to sell you a theory. I'm here to show you the actual weapons, the real moves being made right now, and then show you exactly how much damage Bitcoin can take before it actually breaks. Those are two very different questions, and most people never ask the second one. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a neighborhood that has been run the same way for 50 years. One group controls everything. The shops, the loans, the prices, who gets money and who does not. They are not cartoon villains. They just built the system, and for 50 years, nobody seriously challenged them. Then one day, a new kid shows up. No connections, no permission from anyone, just a piece of code and one idea. The idea being, what if the rules lived in math that nobody could change? What if nobody ran the neighborhood at all? That new kid is Bitcoin. And today, we are answering one question. Can the old gang actually destroy the new kid? And if they try, how far can they really go? Actually, before I explain this, tell me in the comments, do you think banks are scared of Bitcoin, or do they not care at all? Because your answer is about to change. Right now, every time you send money, you need a bank. Every time you save money, you need a bank. Every time you borrow money, you need a bank. The bank sits in the middle of your entire financial life and charges you for the privilege. Bitcoin removes the middleman completely. No bank needed, no permission, no fees going to anyone in a suit. That is not just competition. That is an existential threat. Think about what happened to Blockbuster. 6,000 stores, billions in revenue. The king of home entertainment. Then Netflix showed up with a completely different idea. No stores, no late fees, just a better system. Blockbuster even had the chance to buy Netflix in 2000 for $50 million. They said no. By 2010, Blockbuster was bankrupt. Netflix is now worth over $250 billion. The old gang looked at the new kid and laughed, and then the new kid rewrote the entire neighborhood. The banks are not laughing at Bitcoin anymore, which means right now, in 2026, they are not ignoring it either. They are coming for it. So here is the playbook, the actual weapons the old gang is using right now, one by one. Weapon 1. Words. In 2025, the European Central Bank officially said the fair value of Bitcoin is 0. Not risky, not volatile. 0. A former ECB official called Bitcoin, and I want you to hear this properly, the evil spawn of the financial crisis. JP Morgan published research notes warning about Bitcoin and companies holding it. Pure coincidence, obviously. Just like it is a coincidence when a magician's assistant always falls for the trick. When the most powerful financial institutions on the planet say something is worthless, pension funds listen. Fund managers sell. Retail investors panic. Words from the right mouths move billions of dollars, and the old gang has the loudest mouths in the world. Weapon 2. The market. This one is sneaky. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley have together created over $530 million worth of financial products tied to Bitcoin. Now that sounds like support. It is not. These products make money when Bitcoin is volatile, when it swings hard, when it crashes, when people panic sell. Think of it like a school bully selling insurance to every kid in class. Pay me $5 a week and I will protect your lunch money. Does that bully want peace and safety? Absolutely not. He needs chaos to stay in business. The banks basically built a machine that prints money every time you panic. Genius, honestly. Evil, but genius. On October 10th, 2025, $19 billion evaporated in a single day. And who walked away smiling? The house. There is a reason Casino Royale's most famous line is, "The house always wins." The banks wrote that line about themselves. Weapon 3. The Rulebook. Here is the most powerful weapon of all. The old gang does not just play the game, they write the rules. Governments can ban Bitcoin outright. China already did. They shut down trading and mining completely in 2021. The price dropped 50% in weeks. In January 2026, the Federal Reserve formally proposed rules that could force exchanges to report every wallet transaction above $10,000, treating Bitcoin like a systemic financial risk that needs to be watched at every move. And then there is the slow squeeze. Banks quietly refusing to process payments to crypto exchanges, credit cards blocking Bitcoin purchases. They cannot touch the blockchain. That part genuinely drives them crazy. But they can make getting in and out of it as painful as possible. It is like trying to shut down a river. You cannot stop the water, but enough dams and locks, and barely anyone can actually use it. Now here is where I need you to stay with me. Everything I just told you is real. All of it is happening right now in 2026, and yet Bitcoin is still here. It has survived every single one of these attacks before, and understanding why is the most important thing in this entire video. But first, drop a comment right now. Do you think the banks are deliberately suppressing Bitcoin? Or is this just normal market chaos? I genuinely want to know where you stand before I show you what comes next. How much damage can the kid actually take? Here's what the old gang cannot do, no matter how hard they try. They cannot change the code. There are only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. No government can print more. No bank can create an emergency exception. No financial crisis changes that number. And they cannot freeze your wallet. Remember Argentina in 2001? The government froze every single bank account in the country overnight. People woke up and could not touch their own savings. They were allowed to withdraw 250 pesos per week. The peso then lost 80% of its value. What happened after? Argentines became some of the highest Bitcoin adopters in the entire world. Because once a government locks you out of your own money, a currency nobody can freeze sounds a lot less crazy. That is what the old gang is actually fighting against, not the price, the exit door. Now look at what Bitcoin has already survived. China threw the first punch in 2021. Full ban, mining shut down, price dropped 50%. You know what Bitcoin did? Moved countries and hit new all-time highs. Then came October 10th, 2025. 19 billion liquidated in one day. The biggest crash in crypto history. The second punch. Bitcoin did not go offline, not for 1 second, not one. The price is not Bitcoin. The price is just what scared people sell it for on any given day. Think of it like your house. If your neighbor panics and sells their house for half the price during a bad week, your house did not become worth less. The bricks did not change. The location did not change. Only the fear changed. Stop. The attacks are real. Every single one. But here's the part they don't want you to notice. While the attacks were happening, the attackers were buying. The old gang is buying Bitcoin quietly while publicly calling it worthless. JP Morgan, the same JP Morgan that published scary research notes right before the October crash, is now allowing wealth management clients to use Bitcoin ETFs as collateral for loans. That is not the behavior of a bank that thinks Bitcoin is going to zero. BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet, launched a Bitcoin ETF that now holds nearly $70 billion in assets. $70 billion. From the same Wall Street that spent years calling crypto a scam. This is exactly the blockbuster story playing out again. The studios that tried to block Netflix eventually launched their own streaming services because they could not beat the technology, so they decided to profit from it instead. The old gang is not trying to destroy Bitcoin anymore. They are trying to own the neighborhood when Bitcoin wins. Wrap it in ETFs. Charge fees on every transaction. Turn something nobody controls into something they control. That is the real fight. And it is a much scarier story than a simple price crash. So, how does this actually end? Because there are only two real outcomes. Ending 1. The old gang domesticates the new kid. Bitcoin survives but gets tamed, wrapped in ETFs, taxed at every step, sitting in BlackRock portfolios. The price goes up. The banks make money selling you exposure to it. But the original idea, money that no government can freeze, gets quietly buried under compliance paperwork. This is the Breaking Bad ending. Walter White built an empire and lost everything that actually mattered. Ending 2. The new kid rewrites the neighborhood. Bitcoin stays genuinely decentralized. Enough people hold their own wallets. Enough countries keep adopting it. It becomes too embedded in the global system for any single government or bank to control. And here is the one detail that tells you which way this is actually heading. As of 2026, almost 94% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist has already been mined. The supply is almost complete. And central banks, the most boring, careful institutions on the planet, are quietly building Bitcoin products on the side. That is not the behavior of people who think the new kid is going away. That is the behavior of people who are no longer sure who runs the neighborhood. So, here is where I land. The banking system can damage Bitcoin badly. The October crash was not an accident. The negative research notes are not neutral opinions. The regulations being built right now are not about protecting you, but permanently destroy it. You cannot uninvent an idea whose time has come. You could not uninvent streaming by declaring Blockbuster the winner. You could not uninvent the internet by making it slower. And you cannot uninvent a currency that lets people hold their own money without asking anyone's permission. The old gang is powerful, but the code does not negotiate. Now, tell me in the comments, which ending do you actually think is happening? Is Bitcoin getting quietly swallowed by Wall Street, or does it stay genuinely free? And one more question. If you woke up tomorrow and your bank account was frozen, the way Argentina did to its people in 2001, would you trust Bitcoin with your savings, or would you still trust the bank? Your answer to that question tells you everything about where this story ends. The old gang built the world's most powerful financial system, and they still couldn't stop a piece of code written by one anonymous person. Think about what that means. Hit like, subscribe. See you in the next one.